Good morning, good afternoon, good evening all. It's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, aboxwithnolid, a channel dedicated to working with healing and working through the issues and the lived experience associated with complex trauma. Now, this next video, we're still exploring deeper the questions I asked in the beginning, in the first video. And this next one is around how we connect and exploring that connections a little deeper. And with this, we have, some more questions to answer as in breaking that down. Now, I've already asked, how do you define connection? But to explore that to the next level, we also ask, how do we measure trust? Trust is a big one. And trust is something that we really need to spend a little time exploring, because trust leads us to the next question, which is, what are deficit-created and deficit-driven relationships? And this next question leads us to the last one, which is really the first one we need to answer, is how our beginning changed or shaped how we connect to people. And what I mean by beginning is our very first breath. How we began life, how we began immediately post-birth, will shape and define every facet of how we connect. And if we're looking at early childhood trauma, that was not a positive. And how we connect, the process of our body connection, is fundamentally altered into a survival state connection, not a biological, physiological connection of safe and belonging, that belonging to family. And in future videos, I'll go into far more detail on that aspect, because as I said in the beginning, we're trying to create the base understandings of the tools and bits and pieces and the resources that we have and what we need to get and what we need to work on now, to begin to create this healing ecology, this ecology that will provide what we need when we need it down the road. But how we began, for me, being removed at birth and connecting to that box, that controllable environment, also meant that the deficit of attaching to my mother and that not happening. Because one of the things most people don't realize, when a child is slated to be taken for adoption at birth, no one holds them. They are taken from their mother immediately. And no nurse, no doctor, you are handled bare minimum physical contact. You are not touched, you're not held, you're not comforted. You are put in a box, you are kept separate. The faces and eyes are covered of everybody that goes into that room, because the doctors in the system believe that when you're finally placed in the arms of an adoptive parent, you will connect. It's one of the largest fallacies, and it is so traumatic and healing. So traumatic and harmful to kids, that the healing required that it creates from it is lifelong. But it defines the importance of attachment. And that's why in the initial stages of this channel and these first videos, I'm really pushing some buttons by asking you how you connect to people. Because we need to understand how we do that. Because it opens ourselves up for the negative self-fulfilling prophecies that trauma survivors are prone to. And I'll get into more of that in future videos. But this one, let's keep on task, because we're now starting to tread on some trapdoors, some trigger doors. But when you understand that, okay, if you have early childhood trauma, you know that your attachment base, primarily you will be open to attach to a mother figure and a potential father figure, far more openly than you would like. So when we put our trust tests and all these other mechanisms into play, they're all driven around us trying to protect ourselves from falling into that trap. Now, when we're going into an ecology for healing trauma, we need to have a few, not a huge number, we need to have a few very safe and known people who are willing and able to be part of our healing journey. Not to do it for us, not to get in our case so much, but just to be present, to know that we are seen and that we matter. That is one of the most fundamental parts. And if you're in a relationship with someone, your partner, your husband or wife, is not there to fix it for you. They are there simply to see you. To know that so that you know you're seen and you have value. They cannot fix it. They didn't create it. And that is another part of this deficit created and deficit driven relationships. So as I said, I'll probably do 2 or 3 videos on the deficit parts, because it is a very complicated, and it has so many layers. But for now, your closest people are not there to fix, to heal this for you. They are there so that you know you are seen and you have value, because that is part of safe and belonging. And as I said, all we need to do is focus on achieving that holy grail of belonging, and our body will heal. We will release the trauma that we have stored. So as I said, if we understand how we connect, if we understand the parameters we put to trust, we understand the types of relationships that we have that are positive and negative and why, and that's guided in how we answer those questions by looking at how our life began, we can get a better idea of who we can have in our inner circle, or how we can connect enough to future people to be part of our circle. And that way we can start to work towards building this ecology that is going to support us when we need it down the road. As I said, in future videos I will go into connection and attachment in a lot more detail, but for now, just take some time to answer those questions and gain some parameters around how you connect. So as always, you are worth this investment. You are worth the investment in your well-being. As always, please take the time to answer these questions. Be kind and gentle with yourself. I humbly ask that you do like and subscribe to this channel, and I also hope that you will take some time, if you have questions, to reach out and ask them through the comments or through the email in the description of this video. So be kind, be gentle, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Hope.